So
Welcome everyone to 10K Movies. I'm your host Ryan, joined by Tom and JD as always. Fellas, how we doing?
doing good. How you guys doing?
Can't ask me much better.
Yeah, not too bad. I know we were talking about our recent dental visits here before we started recording. I just went to the dentist actually on Monday. Just for cleaning and everything, and it was like fine. It was good. I like the dentist, I like how it feels afterwards. But one gripe that I have with the dentist, JD, I know you have one too, but we're in 2023. Last time I checked, I don't know why they're still using that scrape tool, the plaque remover or whatever. I mean, I know there's probably like an actual clinical name for it, but at this point, I feel like that's got to be thrown out the window and improved somehow, because that's like, at least for me, my least favorite part about it, the whole experience. Literally feels like they're pulling teeth. So I don't know how you guys feel about that. But yeah, I can't stand
No, I'm the opposite. No pain, no gain. That thing hurts the most, but that's how you feel the best.
that.
I guess it is true. It's like it's gonna hurt like shit, and like to me, it's just the noise it makes. Like
Yeah, yeah.
it's a
Nails
top
on chalkboard.
two worst noise. Yeah, nails on chalkboard is one. That is number two. I actually had that this week. I went Monday too. I was telling you guys, got Invisalign started because of some dental issues I'm having, but that was like they had to scrape the shit out of the bottom. Like it had to be spotless, and they had to like rip like an old retainer I had out, and it was yeah, it's not fun. But I will say on dentists, to their benefit, like we've all been to the doctor, we've all been to the dentist. Like, what would you guys say? What's the better experience? Like from arrival to departure, which one would you guys prefer? You have to go to one of them. They're both for like just checkups.
Dentist.
I think I
Uh,
would say dentist too.
yeah, like,
One
feeling
thousand.
like I have clean teeth and whatnot after.
Yeah, that, and they're so much faster. Like I remember
That,
like kind of having to
that's
wait when I was like a little younger, but recently they're like, you check in at your arrival time or at your appointment time, and they get you back to like immediately.
Mhm. Yeah, that's my main thing is like dentists. At least recently for me, it's like you're in. They offer you some water. They're super nice. No, not the doctors aren't. Not the doctors aren't. But you're in.
Debatable.
Got you
Yeah.
back there. The hygienist comes in. The dentist comes in. Boom, boom. Maybe I'm just at a really good dentist, but I feel like that's way more consistent than like with doctors, where it's like, all right, you get here, fill out a paper on a clipboard, sit for
Hmm.
45
Even
minutes.
if you've been there for like 5 years, you always have to fill out paperwork. You're like,
Literally. And I know you've talked about it before, Ryan, but like the wait for the doctor, like literally that might be half your day. Like say it takes
yeah,
you 30 minutes to get there, depending on where you live. You're gonna wait for 30 minutes. You're gonna get called into the room. That's gonna be like 45 minutes till they even come in. Then they're gonna check something. They're gonna go run a test. Like that's an all day affair. So
Well,
yeah,
my thing with the doctor
I
is, like you said, it takes forever. You get in the room, then you see the doctor for like 5, maybe 10 minutes, and like if anything's wrong, he just refers you to another doctor anyway.
yeah,
Or like, well, you got to go to the lab, and then you got to wait in the lab. You got to check in there. It's the whole process over again.
yeah.
dentist all day for me. I'm team dentist for sure.
I'm actually set
Another,
out to I'm set out to spite my dentist right now. You know how every time you go there, they're just like, yeah, you should floss more. I swear that's just like the baseline. So I've been flossing
gotta
twice
say
a
it.
day for like 4 months, and I think in like April's my next checkup or whatever. And if they say you have to floss more, I am laying the hammer down.
Yeah, going on strike.
I feel like
Oh
I've
yeah.
had the opposite. Like there were times I would not floss, and I'd go there and be like, "Nah, you're doing great. You've been flossing." It's like literally, I don't even know where the floss aisle is at the store.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. You're like,
not
no, I can't dance.
good started on that.
That's another thing about dentists. Like the actual dentist has the easiest job ever. If it's just a cleaning, right? And if you
Yeah.
have nothing, like they come in, touch your teeth for like a second, and then they're like, "Oh, looks good." Then
Yeah.
they're
They use
done.
the
Like
scrape.
the hygienist does everything.
Oh yeah.
The hygienist does
They,
the heavy lifting. Like they do the actual cleaning. Dentist comes in like
yeah,
pokes you with like something that could, if he misses, it's gonna cause like a huge rupture and it's so
yeah.
sharp. It's like, oh, looking good, man. It's like, all right. I give you a bag with my toothbrush and I'll be on my way.
Yeah.
Like Jimmy Neutron gum.
Dennis?
That was a treat when I was a kid. You got the Jimmy Neutron gum in your candy bag. Dating
Yeah.
myself a little bit here.
The gun from the movies. No, Dennis are like when someone asks you how you're doing, because you either say good or fine. They're like, dude, looks great, or floss more. That's it.
Yeah.
If it doesn't
That's
look
all.
great,
That's only option.
doesn't look great, they're gonna say floss more. If it looks good, they're like, hey, looks good. You're like, thanks,
Like,
buddy.
I hate to bring religion into it, but I know JD and I grew up in Catholic.
Natural
Yeah, I know
transition.
JD and I grew up going to Catholic school, and that was how confession went too. Do Hail Marys to our Father.
Out the door.
Yep. See you later. Well, Ryan, we got any updates? Not to pivot here. We got any updates on the Daniel Jones saga? Are we still waiting on bated breath?
No, yeah, still waiting. Waiting eagerly on the edge of our seats for that update. Seems like that's gonna happen in the next week or two. I think that's when like everything kind of happens in free agency. So everyone stay tuned. I know we're all eagerly waiting his decision. Well, I guess his and the team's decision. But besides that, though, for anyone that listened last week, I know we introduced our billboard kind of activity that we've been doing. So this past week was 1979 billboard hits. So we listened to those this past week. And yeah, it was, I don't know how you guys felt about it, but as a year overall, probably my second favorite. There's a lot of heavy hitters in there that I have definitely heard before and just kind of like forgot the name. But also what I noticed, it's a big movie like year. Like a lot of these songs were in a lot of movies, I felt like at some point. I don't know if you guys kind of felt that either, but yeah, I mean, I like this year of Billboard hits.
I liked it too. I think they were, like you said, I think it was a lot more just recognizable. Like I feel like the years prior were kind of slower, like love song, like kind of between this era of like rock, like like kind of hard rock and like romance, R&B type stuff. So I liked it. I thought it was pretty good. I've got my pick. I know that. Um, it was tough. It was actually a tougher choice than I expected, but I did narrow down my choice. So
well, let's hear it.
my choice. I know there was an obvious one. Ryan thought Jimmy and I would both pick. JD still might. I'm not sure, but I'm not gonna pick it. It was in my top three, but my song I chose is "Sultans of Swing" by Dire Straits. Not sure if you guys know that. You guys would definitely know it if you heard it, but I caught that one on the playlist, and that was my choice. I'll say runner up was the song "My Life" by Billy Joel.
I like that one a lot.
Really like that one. Reminded me of a professor I had at IU. He was funniest, most dry person ever, and he said the only time he ever rebelled against his dad was trying to get him to do one thing in school, and he just turned that song up. Like, that was the only time I ever rebelled. I just thought that was hilarious. Always reminded me of him ever since.
That's funny.
And then my third, of course, was the song that JD. It might be JD's first, so I'm not going to spoil it. But what'd you guys get?
Well, yeah, let's hear it, JD. What are you thinking
All
of
right,
there?
so the song you're saying, Tom, I think it's at least it's gonna be an honorable mention for me since we love that song. But my favorite song this year was "Double Vision" by Foreigner.
Okay.
Mainly, I just really like Foreigner. But the honorable mention is "Renegade" by Styx. Me and Tom actually, I don't know if I'd even call it like an inside joke, but apparently if you play that at a Steelers game, they will not lose. They don't care if they're down 30 with 3 minutes left. There's 3 onside and an interception coming.
Literally, like look it up if you don't know. Like, the thing is, it's actually a really good song. But yeah, JD just happened to be watching like NFL Countdown one morning, and they dove into the story of the Steelers' love affair with Renegade. Apparently, if you turn it on, the Steelers win. Like,
so do they play it every game though?
They only play it at like big moments. Like,
okay.
No, literally, they had a former player.
So it's not like Sweet Caroline at like the Red Sox.
No. Okay. It's like a big thing where it's like literally these stories are like we were down 21-3, 2 minutes left in the third, throw a bomb, 21-10, onside, throw a bomb again, it's 21-17, like get a pit, all this like the stories were like they sounded made up, but
Yeah, it didn't sound real.
no. So me and JD always laugh about that one, and if you could probably hear it on TV if you're ever watching a Steelers game. If you ever hear Renegade, take the live line,
lock the doors and
live
down the
line on the Steelers, no matter what. If you hear Renegade,
take a second mortgage out, put it on the Steelers.
fine. But it is a really good song. Like listening to it, it's really cool. I understand why it gets so hype because it has like just this really like
it's a good song,
slow build up. It's pretty awesome. So, what do you got, Ryan? I don't think you picked yours yet.
Yeah, so I don't know if we listened to the same playlist, but I just listened to it in order, like not on shuffle or anything. And
that's how I do it.
I had a heavy hitter at the beginning, which was a surprise one for me. It was called "Hot Stuff" by Donna Summer.
Okay.
It just kind of gets you like in a good mood type of song. So I was like, nothing's really beating this. And then I get near the end of the playlist, and it's the most basic pick ever, I would say, but it's one of my favorite songs. One that is probably in overplayed territory, but I just have never gotten sick of it. It's "September" by Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Yeah.
Which I think everyone knows, but yeah, I mean, I love that song. So
oh
yeah. But yeah, and then for anyone that listened last week, obviously we had a movie that we're talking about today. It was Tom's pick, Edge of Tomorrow. Tom, if you want to kind of give us a synopsis and kick it off, we'll go from there.
Yeah, absolutely. If you guys tuned in last week, we're doing Edge of Tomorrow from 2014. Starring Tom Cruise, Emily Blunt as the two leads. And thanks to our friends over at IMDb, the synopsis is a soldier fighting aliens gets to relive the same day over and over again, the day restarting every time he dies. So that's the gist of it. We'll kind of get into it here. We'll get into the bulk a little bit. I'm excited to talk about this one. And since it was my movie, I guess I'll give my score first. This movie went really back and forth. Like, first I'll say, I know he's kind of a weirdo. I love Tom Cruise as an actor.
I think I do too.
I don't know if it's a hot take or if it's like, no shit, Captain Obvious, but I love him, actually. In this movie, dude, I was flip-flopping. Like, the beginning, you're like, this is so dumb. This concept is so Tom. We talked about it last week. We knew we were getting Tom Cruise action movie, and we did. That certainly delivered. And but it flip flopped. It was like, okay, this seems kind of stupid. There's no real story. And then I had like glimpses of like, oh, that's kind of cool. Like that's kind of interesting. So overall, the score I'm giving it is a 70 because I find this movie to be perfectly average, like perfectly not bad, like perfectly average, like literally the definition of decent. So I've got it at a 70. Decent. I can't go higher, I can't go lower. I'm locking in 70, and we'll unpack this thing for sure. But I'll toss it over. JD, I think we're gonna go next. So what you got here?
Similar, like, you go in, you're thinking, all right, it's just an average Tom Cruise movie. Did have some, I don't know if I call it twists and turns, but it wasn't just your basic action movie for the most part. They're really, in the middle there's not really a ton of action as far as like his usual movies, I should say, I guess. Like, don't get me wrong, there's action, but I'm a little higher than you. I did like this movie. It is the second time I saw it. I actually saw it in theaters back when it came out. But I gave this movie a 76. And I think part of that is because I am ready to rank like every Tom Cruise movie like a 67. Well, Tom Cruise action, besides like Top Guns, but those are just different.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm kind of with you there.
So I like this movie a lot. I didn't. So here's my thing on Tom Cruise. Like, the only reason I thought he was like crazy, and he actually is, insane. Like, he does all his own stunts and shit like that. But like
he's like 60.
So he's nuts.
Yeah.
I just remember, and it was like spoofed in one of the, like the Scary movies or one of those type spoof movies, like teen movie, well, you know, like those shitty ones, but where he was like jumping up and down when like his wife was pregnant or something on Oprah or something. I don't know, something like that. I don't know if you guys remember that, but so I thought he was always crazy, and I thought he was kind of like a hack, but like I think he's I think he's, and we can unpack this, but I think he's like maybe the best action movie star, and he's like an actual like 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 when you say movie star, that's who I kind of think of. Like, you know, there's celebrities and everything, but like I think he's like a movie star. I'm not saying he's like the best actor or anything like that, but that's just who I picture when I hear that term. So I really like this movie. I got sidetracked there, but um didn't think I was gonna like it. I think I've seen this before when it came out, like right on DVD back in the day, and I thought it was just, you know, fine or whatever. But after watching it this time, like I really fucking like this movie, and is another topic I want to talk about of this kind of movie where like in some way, shape, or form, like, you know, multiverse or like different timelines and shit like that that I've been getting fatigued of. But this one does it in a way that I thought was like really interesting and like flowed really well. So I'm quite higher than you guys. I gave this one 87.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah.
It's like, man,
I'm
that's
not gonna lie. If you told me your two scores, I would have switched the people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought Ryan was
Yeah.
getting, I thought honestly both you guys were going to be in the 60s, and I thought this was going to be average out to low rate. I mean, those are pretty respectable. I think like JD 76 kind of in the middle, and then Ryan's 87 and my 70 drag it a little bit, but this score is gonna put it in a pretty good spot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got it locked in on average at a 77.5 here, so
I think that's very fair.
I think that's fair. Yeah.
I would agree.
I also agree with you, Ryan. I think Tom Cruise is the action star goat. I mean, like does all his stunts.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I just he made so like he's made so many good and blockbuster movies, and the fact that he does all his own stunts in those movies, like it's hard to say there's a like I mean, I know there's better like drama actors and whatever, but it's hard to say there's a better like action star out there.
Yeah.
I think like today's standards too. Like I think like the action hero was probably a bigger thing, like a huge thing in like the 70s and stuff. Like when that kind of took off, when like movie crews could kind of perfect that action scene a little bit better. But yeah, I think the fact that he like does his own stunts and everything, like he is kind of like a true action hero. Like I think kind of the same thing, Ryan. I think I had kind of preconceived notions on him just because I feel like the Scientology thing was like how he
Oh,
was.
I forgot. Yeah.
That's what I always think of with him. But aside from that, like I was looking at his IMDb and like I low key have seen so many Tom Cruise movies. Like kind of forget he did like Risky Business way back in the day when he was
Like Jerry Maguire.
Yeah, Jerry Maguire, like when he was getting
Rain Man.
Rain Man.
So it hasn't always been
showing a little bit
action
of rain.
things. Yeah, and I would
Oh
kind of like
yeah.
to see
Oh,
him in,
agree.
movies other than just action, but I think he's just, once he did the Mission Impossible stuff, like when you're tied to a franchise like that, it's hard to kind of get out of that sometimes.
Right.
You're kind of like typecasted a bit, I feel like, but like he definitely has that range, I think, but now he's just kind of solidified himself as that like action.
Right.
Stuff.
I
I think
agree.
that overshadows it because there's like 15 of those movies. So
Yeah.
it waters down like his other stuff. But I also think like part of the reason I see him in a good light now is because I know all three of us saw Maverick, Top Gun Maverick. That movie blew me away. Like
Yeah.
I had no expectations and I was like, this is like honestly almost a perfect movie. Like I loved every part of it for the most part. So I know it contradicts myself, but I loved it as a whole. And I think that's raised him up in my book for sure.
I think Tom Cruise, I don't think he's necessarily typecast. I think, well, because think about any drama movie. Say Tom Cruise says, I want to do a drama with you. Like,
They'd let him. Yeah.
who's saying no?
Yeah. Typecast is the wrong word, but yeah, I think
I, th-
he's just like
I
comfortable
think,
with doing it, I guess.
I think he's thrill seeking. I think he finds like
Yeah.
another
He
part
loves
of,
that.
I think the action part is exciting for him. Like, I don't even know if he actually cares if the movie's good anymore. I mean, like, not that he's putting out bad movies necessarily, but I think he likes the thrill of doing all his own stunts and whatnot. And if you're just in a rom-com, like you're not in those car chases or in the helicopter or anything like that.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you guys saw for Top Gun. Like he literally had to get like certified through like the Navy or something to like fly the plane. Like he was one of like few people ever like that wasn't in the military that had like gotten approved on that. And like I saw a video of him like recently for one of the movies he was filming, and like yeah, he was doing his own stunts. It's like actually nuts. So like JD, what you're saying makes perfect sense. Like he might just be like, no, I like doing like crazy shit, and I'm also an actor, so like it only makes sense for me to do them both. Like that's what I want to do.
I'm pretty sure for one of the newer Mission Impossibles, when he's like hanging on like either an airplane wheel well or like the side of an airplane, they actually like tied him onto it, or not tied him onto it, but like he had to like hold onto it, maybe had some sort of like somewhat safe, but really not that safe kind of thing. But yeah, I'm pretty sure he was actually hanging on a plane as it was like taking off. I mean, obviously it was very controlled environment, but
yeah. I mean, he's a nut job for sure, but like he puts out even if it's not like a good movie, like you're going to be entertained. And I think, like you said, Tom, with like Maverick and everything, that honestly kind of has saved, or it did save, in my opinion, like the theater experience. Cause that was one that I wholeheartedly like, you have to watch it in the theater. And, with like COVID and everything, like people were still going to the movies, I guess, but like, I think that's what like, kind of like jump started it again, and just like going to the movies. I think that was, all kind of led by him. So, yeah, I don't know.
I mean, that was probably was that the biggest? I mean, that was the biggest like theater hit since COVID, right?
Yeah,
probably.
I would say so. Yeah,
I feel like everybody saw
we
that.
all love the theater, so like that's big for brownie points right there.
Yeah.
But in Edge Tomorrow, I mean, Tom Cruise is like the main actor and he's great, but Emily Blunt, I cannot pull away. Very attractive.
Yeah. She definitely surprised me in that. Like I haven't really seen a whole lot of movies with her in it that I can remember at least, but yeah.
Like
and she was great in it. Yeah. And I was thinking of Mary Poppins, but like that's definitely, I'm sure she has way better Sicario, which I have actually never seen, but I think she's in that.
Oh, I actually really like both the Sicarios. Yeah, she is. Yeah, she's like the main actress in that too.
Devil Wears Prada. I've honestly never seen that.
I haven't seen.
Oh, I forgot she was in that actually.
I was looking at her IMDb. I haven't heard of a lot of the movies she's been in, but yeah, I thought she was great. Actually, the general I think was Mad Eye Moody from Harry Potter.
Yeah, Brendan Gleeson. That's Domhnall Gleeson's dad too, who was like Charlie or Bill.
Yeah.
But he's also in a lot of other stuff besides that. But
right.
He's actually in a movie that has the alternate timeline plot theme to it. Actually, it's called About Time. It's a chick. It's like a rom-com too, but
it's good though.
I love that movie. But yeah, I mean, I guess to get, kind of went off topic there, but for Edge of Tomorrow, like, I mean, what do you guys think of like the whole premise and everything? Like, obviously, the big thing is, he keeps reliving the event over and over again, which is the war against the aliens, basically. And he didn't even want to be there in the first place. Like, so he's kind of like a prick at the beginning because like he was like, no, like I'm too good for this. And then he was like trying to blackmail freaking Mad Eye Moody. And then, yeah, they get down there and then, things go nuts. But I did want to say like the aliens in this movie, that's like a top tier alien in my opinion. Like they were like kind of scary and like compared to other aliens in other alien movies, like I don't know, I think they're kind of at the top of like best ones that you wouldn't want to mess with.
Yeah, I agree with that, but
kill.
Well, we'll get more into the aliens because they some of the stuff the aliens did was part of my takeaways actually, like my down points. But with the premise of this movie, I really liked it. It's just interesting to see, like, because when it first started, I kind of forgot how it went. I've seen it before, but when it first started, I thought he literally went to the same battlefield every single day, and like they figured out how to win. Obviously, that's not what they do. But it's kind of cool to see how he would take pretty much Emily Blunt, and they would go on like all these other adventures, but only he remembers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought like honestly at the beginning, I think the movie did a good job in this way because like I think at the beginning, again, part of it's my fault probably for thinking it's going to be just a basic Tom Cruise action movie. And every day he just wakes up. I'm like, okay, I've seen this before. I've seen Groundhog Day. I've seen, I get the premise. Like, is there any reason? Does he just wake up every day like this? Like, it's kind of stupid. But then it starts to like unpack and show like how the aliens interact with that, why it's actually happening. Emily Blunt's character having the same thing, and then how it got ripped away from her. Like that, I think later down the road really helped tie the story together. And the other thing I was going to say that I was thinking probably like halfway through, I was like, there really isn't much. I think last week's movie we talked about, all the characters that we liked, and there were, probably 5 or 6 that we liked or whatever. In this, it was like there were no characters. I felt like because like the J Squad or whatever, they were only in it for such a small time. But then you see as the movie progresses, like they start to show like a little bit of layers, and you almost kind of are rooting for the other guy because there really isn't any attachment to them going forward. Because like you said, Judy, he kept waking up on the same battlefield, tried the exact same maneuvers, nothing was changing. But then he was able to kind of work with Emily Blunt to use like his like use the team he had around him and figure it out. And yeah, I think that helped it a lot. Like just actually like piecing the story together slowly but surely.
What do you guys think about like because I know like Ryan kind of already touched on it. He's kind of a prick at the beginning, but like he's media relations. He's not really trained in combat.
Yeah.
And they're just like, hey, buddy, front lines. Like,
yeah.
I was laughing so hard because he's like, yeah, I'm a general. Like I forgot I saw this as well like years ago when he said there's like general, and then he's like media relations. That was hilarious. He's like, no, you're going to the battlefield. Like, how weird would that be though? Like, really, like you'd send a reporter to the front lines. Like, you would never. I mean, I get it. In this situation, it was like all hands on deck, but yeah, that made literally zero sense.
No, that's like I'm picturing, say, I work some office job for the military because apparently there are office jobs in the military. They say I'm working that, and they're like, "Hey, buddy, I know you've been a business analyst the last few years, but you're at the tip of the spear." I'd be like, "You sure about that?" Not a very sharp tip.
Yeah, that was I honestly laughed like more than I expected in this movie. Like there was like I was actually like burst out laughing a couple of times like how they cut to the next day a lot of times like when he was like about to die and like there was one point where like they were like train him and Emily Blunt were like training and then he was down he's like and she like pulls the gun on he's like I'm not even hurt and then she just like shoots him
Yeah.
that was hilarious. Also when he's like there was one of the times when he was like he was doing the push-ups and he was like trying to get away so he like rolled under it was the first time he tried to roll under the driving car that way and like it made like this really funny noise. Like I would laugh more than I like was expecting this one for sure.
Oh, so Ryan, I was thinking about that because obviously he's lived this day like hundreds of times. Like they don't really tell you a specific amount, but he definitely doesn't make it under the car perfectly every time.
Know,
Like,
right?
I mean, for him, I guess it's only not that much time, I guess. But like, how many times do you think he actually failed that? Like,
Right.
had to be a few.
Oh yeah.
Like even like when he gets on the battlefield, it's like so intricate of like how many paces you need to take because he's like trying to save all his buddies and save himself. And like you guys said, those aliens, I mean, they're fast, they're legit.
Oh,
yeah. they're pretty tough. So I thought it kind of I thought there was a little Harry Potter connection there, with Paige and the Omega with like Harry and Voldemort. One guy trying to kill the other, getting something on the other. You kind of see like a little mind wave, like telepathy type deal, and then they're just slated. Like one has to kill the other, basically. So, yeah, I thought that was my Mad Eye Moody Mad Eye Moody working in Harry Potter angle.
And even when like he knows that or like the aliens know that they can see into each other or whatever, so they like purposely like send them elsewhere.
Right. Germany? No, that was cool. They like set a
crazy.
trap.
Yeah. That was awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, that was I mean they're pretty smart. I mean it was wild. I mean, I always think of like sci-fi movies, you're like, that would never, ever, ever happen. But then like I think the further removed they are, it's like, I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, that's a big reason I kind of liked it too, is because like, there's a ton of alien movies and stuff like that. But this took like a spin on it where they're not just, aliens, nothing really like special about them or whatever. Like they made something unique about them to change that. Like, I don't know if it was stale at this time. When did this come out? Like 2013 or something like that. 2014. So like, I don't think it was like stale at that time or anything, but it did change it to where it wasn't just your traditional, like, oh, aliens are invading Earth and got to kill them kind of thing. Like they were tough to beat, clearly. Like they were intense.
I thought it was pretty cool. Like Emily Blunt says it at one point after Verdun. She's like, "No, Project Downfall or whatever it was called. It's like this isn't our end game. It's theirs.
Yeah,
like they wanted to do this. Which is actually also kind of really cool. Like as far as the plot, like they're brilliant strategists. Well, I guess you can relive the same day when you lose. You should win most fights.
Yeah. Definitely. No, yeah, I agree. It's not like honestly, it reminded me of like when you're a kid and you're like stuck on a video game level and you like have it basically memorized, like every side of it. But yeah, like the aliens had that side to it as well, where they knew it was coming. And I don't know, I thought it was cool. I think too, like just seeing kind of how it moved along, like how he was able to like articulate that he knew them and actually get that across. Was pretty cool, especially like the J Squad or whatever, like having them actually help out towards the end, towards the big scene. I think that added to it a lot. So it wasn't just like a pasted 2-person movie.
Yeah. I like that a lot. And yeah, true. But I also I think I don't know which one of you guys said it, but that they did add that extra detail into Emily Blunt's character, of like, she's been through this before, but she lost it, like lost the reset power kind of thing. And then when he loses it too, like that was nuts, but you kind of saw that coming. And then like she's about to kill him. He's like, no, like I lost it. And
the only time she hesitated the whole time.
Right. But that's I guess one thing that's pretty much one of my only gripes about this movie, and just movies in general about this, or that have this like plot device or whatever you want to call it, is like, if you can reset the day or there's alternate timeline stuff like that, like the one thing I don't like about that is like there's no stakes really into the characters, right? Like, because if that stuff can happen, like you really never think that they're gonna die, or if something bad can happen to them, like if something can just reset it basically, and that clearly happens at the end. Spoilers, but like even when he was technically dead, like he still was able to reset because it fell on him. But that's the one thing that I just don't like about that in general, like across all movies that kind of use that. But in this way, like I liked how they changed that a little bit too. Like it was different how they went about it, but at the same time, yeah, it still ended up like, no one died basically. But not saying I'm rooting for death or anything, but it's just like, there's no stakes, and then it's like you're attached to these characters and like, oh no, like everyone happy ending kind of thing. But I don't know, that was my like only gripe with it.
So one of my gripes is like you kind of talked about, I think maybe, I don't know. Well, just how the day resets. Well, so I don't know. This was hard for me to wrap my mind around the fact that, so like, all right, the alpha, that the things that actually can control time when they reset and they die. All right, so the very first day he's there, blows up on him, they share blood, and then when he resets, would his blood not reset to being normal again? Like, wouldn't he have to do it again to get the alpha's blood? Like, so that part was like a little, I mean, obviously it's like sci-fi-ish, and I get there's gonna be stuff that doesn't make sense, but wouldn't the blood also like, wouldn't his whole body reset to normal? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, even like the concept of time, like he always talked, like he always reset, but he always lived like 2 days, it felt like, because he lived like the day before the battle or whatever, and then he had all this time, like it was always a different sequence. Like the first time he just like gets there, introduce the squad, and then they like deploy, and afterwards he's like got 7 hours of downtime to train. He's got like time to go for a run with the J Squad, roll into that truck. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. I wish we saw more of the J Squad. Mainly Kimmel, the dude that literally wore the battle suit naked for whatever reason.
Well, how about that one time? The one time that Cage Cruz like he's just had enough, right? Like he's like, fuck this, I'm just gonna do it myself, basically. And he lets him die. That like
Oh yeah.
he tries to save him like for a while, and then that one time he's just like pissed off, like you can tell he's mad, and then he just like screw it, like I'm just doing this time. So what if he did it? That like what if he completed the mission or whatever, and then like he would have been dead, his buddy. Well, I don't know if they were technically buddies, but and other members of the J Squad. I don't know. That was tough, but then he realized I don't. Well, that's the thing. I don't. I guess I don't know that either.
Because you get to the end, and
well, let's say that time like he goes and let's say he lives and everything. He kills the Alpha or whatever, that big thing in the
Omega.
I guess it wasn't the dam, but yeah, the Omega. Yeah,
under the loop.
But earlier the J Squad died, but he still blows that up. Wouldn't he still stay there? Like, didn't the only reason it get reset at the end is because he still, as he was dying before he died, actually, like the Alpha went back into him, or like the blood, and then reset. But if that didn't happen, then it wouldn't have reset, right?
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. Like if he completed it and like the Kimmel guy died or whatever, he would have been legitimately
stay dead, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, it was confused. I mean, that, and then at the end, like I again, like I don't want to root for bad things to happen, but it is a movie, and like I was fully ready to accept that either him or Emily Blunt was gonna die. Not saying I'm rooting for it, but just thought it was gonna happen. I did kind of like how it did end, though. Having said that, and just like it stopped right as he like introduced himself again or whatever. I kind of like movies that end like that, where it's like kind of left up to interpretation at some extent. Like, if it's really poorly done, obviously not. But I kind of liked how that ended, at least.
No, I was opposite. I was rooting for death. I wish they would have been unsung heroes. They would have made it like at least somewhat realistic, and they died and they won. So thankfully for Earth and me, because I would not have been fighting. But but yeah, I would have just liked it more if they actually died.
I thought
I think that's fair.
Was gonna die on that like second to last run through, like with the helicopter. And then the next time he was going to actually complete it, and it was going to be like this really bittersweet thing where, like, he saved like the human race, but he like lost the woman that he loved, like when they were so close.
Mm-hmm. But I thought one of those was going to happen.
The thing is, like, they weren't really that close.
Happy ending.
They weren't really that close because she doesn't really know him. Every time it resets, he knows her very well. But
like 50 first dates, because
yeah. Sadly, that's one. That's one I do not like. But
nah, it's not my favorite.
Another thing I liked about this movie a lot that I think every war movie needs is like a hilarious general. Or I don't know if he was a general, but that guy that was like sergeant yelling at him or whatever. I thought that guy was hilarious.
He was so
cracking me up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like when they gamble, he makes them eat the cards.
Yeah. I like that a lot.
I love that. Like there was a scene, they were introducing themselves, like where you're from, like Tom Cruise's character's from New Jersey, and they have to be like Scienceville, Kentucky. He was from like Cranberry, New Jersey. He's like, they grow cranberries there? He's like, no, tomatoes. And then he's like, oh, why do they call it Scienceville? He's like, don't know, never asked.
Yeah.
No, I think it's also the same conversation. But he's like, oh man, you're American. He's like, oh, are you from America? He's like, no, I'm from Kentucky.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
I was dying. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I just laughed more than I was like expecting.
Oh yeah, he was cracking
for sure.
Like he wasn't that intimidating though, even though he was supposed to be like this hard.
No, yeah.
Like even towards the end when like Tom Cruise is talking to the guys, they're like, Cage, where have you been? Like Farrell almost had us like up by our bullocks or whatever because they were British, and it's just like I cannot be intimidated by that guy. Like, he does not seem scary. He's such a goofball. But
yeah, I agree with that. All right, one of my biggest gripes with the movies is the aliens. I swear, when they're chasing someone down, they look so fast, everything like that. But then when it's time to kill Tommy
in the water,
in the water, dude, Tom's swimming.
Which they also are fast in the water because that one sequence when he's on the bridge, and that was
Yeah.
actually kind of badass. But when you see him like coming through, like they look pretty fast there.
Yeah, and then at the very end, Tom's going half a mile an hour. He's like
Yeah,
carrying stuff. He's got full like armor on and stuff, barely moving. That thing is literally, paddling like it's a newborn. Like
yeah,
it's barely moving. So that there was like a few times, and then also when they're like flying the plane towards at the end, trying to get through it all. Like, one by one, they just like jump in the plane, but they like taking turns. Like, all right, your turn to jump. Like, why aren't they jumping like six at a time?
right.
And like theoretically, they've probably already lived this day before, so I'm kind of confused why they didn't have a better plan for that.
Well, didn't they say they
Yeah.
hadn't made it that far?
Oh well, yeah.
I know Tom had.
At the very
Oh,
end, I
oh,
guess, in that plane. But the first one, yeah, I mean that they still weren't dropping right away in that
oh,
at the
yeah.
beginning.
Right. Okay. I thought you meant at the end because at the end he was like, "What do we do?" And Tom Cruise is like, "Oh yeah, I don't know. I've never made it this far."
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
I was thinking that too, and I also thought like the Omega is like he basically ran everything for these aliens and was part of the reason they were destroying the entire world, like half of Europe at that point. And I thought it was funny, like when he finally got to him, it was like this giant thing. All you have to do to destroy it is like unplug it.
it's basically like a power source,
Literally, I mean, I guess
basically,
at
right?
the end he threw some sort of like
They're like grenades, right?
explosive.
Belt of
Grenade.
Yeah,
them
I
or
feel like
something.
Yeah.
grenades like right into like the opening, but at first I was like, he literally just have to like unplug it. Power.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
So
like it's minions or whatever, or mimics. I think that's what they're
Yeah,
called. Which I like that name too. But I mean, they were doing all the heavy lifting. Like that guy was just sitting there. Well, I mean, I don't even know if it was like a living thing. Like that's what I didn't understand. But like the Omega itself, I think they just basically like plugged that down there, and that's it. Like
buried
it
deep.
wasn't moving, right? Like, I don't know.
well, I
Yeah,
think
just like the hive mind.
point.
Yeah, right.
I think they said when they were like explaining them that like the Omega was like the brain, and then the alphas and the mimics were like the arms and legs, like doing all the
Yeah.
work basically. But the Omega was like the thinking portion, like the planning.
Hmm.
Well, and see, that's what I was kind of saying with like the reset at the end, at least. Is so they said the Omega is the one that has the ability to control time, and anytime an Alpha dies, it resets it or whatever. But then Tom and Alpha, they share blood at the very end or whatever, and it resets back to the first day. But only Tom goes back to the original day, which I didn't understand. Because wouldn't the Alpha also, or at
Well, because I
least,
think that's what I was kind of
That's
having trouble understanding too. But I think because at that time before he reset, like the Alpha was dead, or the Omega too, I guess. But that confused me too.
yeah,
I'm not gonna lie, because how are they still all dead? Because you heard that on the news when he was waking
yeah,
up or whatever.
that they seem to like disappear or whatever.
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
So yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know.
So like how like why is he the only one? I mean, I get it, he's the main character and everything, but it just that didn't make a lot of sense to me.
Yeah,
I
that's what
really
held it
wish.
back a little bit for me too. Even though still gave it a high score, but at that point I was just like suspending belief or whatever. But
Uh,
I think that's a fair right.
I wish there was an alternate ending with more of a comedy style where he loses the power, but they don't know. Emily Blunt just, executes him, and
Yeah.
then like next scene it's like they lost.
Yeah. Well, that's what almost happened. It seemed like a couple times, but yeah. I mean, I wouldn't have hated that either.
Yeah. But I also think it's hard to believe that, well, and maybe there are other people, but the only people we know of this happening is two, but it seems that like every battlefield seemed to have a ton of alphas on it. It's hard to believe it only happened to two people when there's literally millions of people fighting the same alphas.
Unless the
Yeah.
alphas were like that dominant the whole time, which
Or they killed those people that it happened off, like they
Oh, kind of like they tried to
kind
do
of
to
did.
Tom. Yeah.
Yeah, and
yeah,
kind of did Emily Blunt, at least to lose the power or whatever, and then
Yeah.
screwed the next day. So,
right.
Yeah, that makes sense.
but yeah, who knows? But yeah, I mean that's definitely fair too. Like blood splatters all the time, so I'm
Yeah.
sure probably happened. But I don't know, those things were freaking impossible to
Oh,
even touch. It seemed like so.
they were advanced. They're like
Yeah,
buried in the sand, swimming in
yeah.
water faster
That
than
that
boats.
that scene when they were doing that reminded me of like I think it's the first Transformers, either
Oh,
first or second.
yeah, it reminded me of that too. I think it's the second.
Yeah, because they're in the desert or whatever, and then they're
Yeah.
like, yeah, I think it is a second too, but Yeah, that reminded me of that when I saw it. But yeah, it was cool. I mean, it was very cool action. Like if you told me that came out in 2014 or it came out in 2020, like I wouldn't be able to tell the difference.
Right.
Yeah, I
I
agree
think it
with
was
that.
really good, like
Very,
special effects and
yeah,
everything.
very well produced.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. Like the effects, it looked good. Like it was a good looking movie.
Yeah, holds up very well.
Agreed. And I read something after watching it that, I mean, it goes back to what we were talking about with Tom Cruise, but the suits, like apparently they all, like the directors and stuff, wanted to CGI like 90% of it. And Tom Cruise was like, no, like it has to look like a real battle. So apparently the suits were like 85 pounds. And I guess Emily Blunt like didn't know that was gonna be the plan. So she got there and put this on and like started crying. She's like, I literally can't film in this. Like I can't do this. And Tom
Damn.
Cruise was like, we're doing it. Like
That's insane, actually.
yeah, so
Which
that's
checks
wild.
out for him.
85 pounds though. Like that's heavy.
Oh yeah.
So
Maybe for you guys.
Light work.
like built different. But yeah, I think I'm shocked with your guy. I'm shocked with Ryan's rating. JD, I mean, my rating isn't too far off from yours, but that's pretty good. I mean, it really was pretty solid movie. I'm glad we watched it. I
Yeah, me too.
honestly thought, I mean, I didn't want like a repeat of Porky's, which was one of my that's in the archives. We might dish that out later at some point, but that was probably the lowest movie.
Movie of all time.
I thought that this might be lower. I thought it'd average like in the 60s, but we've got it averaging at 77.7, which is pretty solid. We've got it right now. It looks like it's 285 on our list, between Mudbound, which we all watched together, and Yes Man. So pretty good company, really.
Yeah, I mean, it got 7.9 out of 10 on IMDb, so we're pretty much right with that too. So
yeah, I think it's very fair. But yeah, like you said, Tom, definitely glad we watched it. Obviously, I mean, I was the highest on it, but yeah, definitely recommend it for sure.
Yeah, your rating's still just not. I wouldn't say I'm confused by it. Like I get why someone enjoy it. I'm confused that you liked it that much.
Yeah, no, and that's fair. I'm surprised I did too, to be totally honest. But yeah, it was a pleasant surprise. I had a
think
blast.
we were typecasting his movies. I was already assuming it was gonna be a bad movie. Not a
Right.
bad movie, but just his
Yeah,
action movies
like
are
corny kind of thing, which it
Yeah.
definitely was in
Oh yeah,
some
parts for sure.
aspects. But
Yeah.
But JD, I think you're next for next week's pick.
Yeah, also keeping it on HBO, I'm going with Mystic River. It's actually kind of got a star-studded cast. It's got Tim Robbins,
Yeah.
Sean Penn, Lawrence Fishburne,
Kevin Bacon.
and Kevin Bacon. Yeah. Little synopsis is the lives of three men who were childhood friends are shattered, and one of them has a family tragedy. So kind of vague, but it seems to be a mystery movie. But this has been on my list for a while as far as like classics go. I mean, it came out in 2003, so on the edge of a classic, I guess, 20 years. But I've always heard good things about it, so I'm kind of excited to watch it.
Yeah, I've seen it. It's been a while. Definitely one that is a good one to rewatch if I remember correctly. Just because it is, like you said, that mystery thriller type genre. So excited for that.
The director's Clint Eastwood. Didn't even realize that.
I didn't even know that either.
Yeah, I saw that. I'm very excited. Another 7.9 too on IMDb, and just synopsis. Like these types of movies, I love. So I'm
same.
Pretty hyped for it.
My hot take is that these are gonna be way different 7.9 style movies.
Definitely. Definitely.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would imagine so. Cool. Well, I guess that closes the book on Edge of Tomorrow. Pretty good ratings. Like we said, it's coming in at 285 on our list of running. We're trying to get to 10,000. Got about 400 at the moment, so we got some work to do. Yeah, but what are you guys watching? I know we talked about it last week. Any changes there as far as what you guys are watching show wise, or movies we've got coming up the pipeline?
I know Ryan's with me. I'm still watching Last of Us, Joel and Ellie.
Oh yeah.
So last week was more Ellie,
Just
but
Ellie.
yeah, really cool. Like to kind of, I mean, yeah, really cool episode. I thought last week it wasn't like my favorite.
I liked it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
I
probably
liked
my least favorite, but still really good. Like,
it. Yeah.
and yeah, it was cool to see her backstory. But
And I think that episode in the game is like downloadable content. I don't think that's like actually part of like the
that's what
main
I've heard too.
storyline.
Yeah.
Yeah. But still, I mean, it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
What about you, Tommy?
Yeah. Tell me, what about you?
Well, I'm still watching the Mindy Project. I
How's that going?
teased that last week. It's pretty good. I think we're on season 3 of 6 seasons, so working our way through it. Yeah, I don't know what'll be the next pick, but outside of that, I think that's all we've been watching, really, aside our movie of the week. So
Yeah. I just started Mandalorian season 3, just came out today, which I think JD watches that, but
Behind the eight ball.
Tommy, I know not the biggest Star Wars fan, but
I knew it came out today though. I'm
yeah,
a big fan
Also
of
Pedro Pascal.
Yeah, he's killing it right now.
Probably my favorite comedian, and so I saw
Yeah,
posted about it coming out today with a picture of him at the premiere. So
yeah, he's been in 2 episodes, and they're probably my favorite 2 episodes. Not just because like I'm a Bill Burr fan or anything, but like the episodes he's in just happen to be the best of the series in my opinion. But yeah, today was a good episode. It was like kind of like a reset of kind of where things are and everything. But yeah, it was good. So I'll be watching that week to week. But it's about the only new thing for myself.
yeah, I heard he kills it in that show. So
he does.
Good. Yeah, he's.
Didn't know I was watching something else, but I'll also be watching The Mandalorian as soon as we hang up on this.
There you go.
I need to check that out at some point. Even
Bill
though
Burr,
I'm a Star Wars guy.
When he's in a movie or show, especially if it's unexpected for me, like I love it because he's also in like Breaking Bad. I mean, he was in the Staten Island movie with Pete Davidson.
Yeah, he's funny as hell in that. I mean, he's funny in everything, but
yeah, he's got his own movie he's been working on for a while, writing, producing, acting, all that. So I think that's coming out maybe in the summertime. Hasn't really set a date, but yeah, when he's in random stuff, like a perfect example for me is Daddy's Home.
Oh yeah,
I think it's actually a hilarious movie. He's in like the very last scene at like the father-daughter dance, and he's hilarious in that. And like you said, JD, Breaking Bad, we actually just rewatched that recently, and forgot how good he is in that. Like it's just random as hell. Like it.
Yeah, that was before like he was. Well, definitely before I even knew who he was, but I feel like that was before he was like super famous.
Yeah, that was before I knew him. I just thought he was like
probably before. I mean, like he was obviously doing comedy specials before like Netflix had all the comedy specials like available for people. So
yeah,
he was. I mean, I think Netflix done a lot for comedians in general.
Oh, huge.
Like,
yeah, definitely.
They do some things right for sure.
Yeah.
I didn't realize he's pulling a Birdman. Directing, acting, and producing his own movie.
Yeah. That's huge. Yeah, I think Netflix has really been big for like the comedy scene because it's given so many people specials. Where before that, if you guys remember, it was really all on like either HBO, and that was kind of before HBO had taken off to like a wider audience, or Comedy Central,
or like Showtime.
Yeah,
but like the premium channels, and then Comedy Central.
Yeah.
I remember back when we were in high school, like the guy that was huge, I mean, he's still huge, but Kevin Hart. I remember.
Yeah. Like, he's huge still.
I remember really.
Not in a good way. But,
I remember really loving his special, and the only time I could watch it is like you literally just so happened to turn on Comedy Central and do, oh shit, Kevin Hart's all like, guys, everybody get in the room. Like there was no flipping, like a different time for sure. And streaming was a thing, but like there was no real comedy streaming. Now every guy is on Netflix. So
all right, that's a secret. I actually enjoy Kevin Hart movies.
I love Kevin Hart.
New ones?
All of them.
Ryan's an odd man out.
The Jumanjis, love them.
Well, that's fine. But have you seen like the? Oh my God, what was the one? Him and Mark Wahlberg just had one on Netflix like last year come out.
Oh God, yeah, I
unfortunately I watched that. Watch that, and then you tell me if you still have the same answer.
I'm not gonna lie, I probably watched it.
I forget what that's called though, but it's like I don't know. He's like he's getting married or something. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know. I don't even think he's getting. I don't know. I think his like wife's out of town and he's like supposed to hang out with him or something. I don't know. It's terrible. Also, and I love Will Ferrell, but that one with the I think it was Get Hard or whatever.
Oh,
Oh
oh,
yeah. Oh, Me
Yeah,
Time? You're talking about Me
Me
Time?
Time. That's what I'm
oh,
talking about.
Yeah, saw that. You see the man
Did you
from
like it?
Toronto? I do. All right. This is my guilty confession,
No
and I'm gonna say,
judgments or anything like, but
all
that will
right,
test
it's like
his
a certain amount of
likability.
piece. You go into a Kevin Hart movie. I know the plot is gonna be horrible. I know I
Yeah,
don't have to try that hard to like pay attention. There's peace in my heart, and I can lay down and watch a movie that I probably would never watch when I'm just like relaxing.
that's fair.
Because it's not very intensive. I don't have to follow the plot
That's
that
fair.
well. Whatever. I also saw The Man from Toronto. If you guys saw that,
No, I haven't heard
uh,
about that one.
I think it's supposed to be a play on The Man from Uncle, but it's like Woody Harrelson's in it too, who's actually the Man from Toronto. But I thought that not. I don't think it's hilarious, but I mean, also it's just a Kevin Hart movie.
Yeah,
there is something about knowing like you don't have to pay attention that close.
It,
Like
it,
even this movie, like when we do our movies, I'm like, I gotta be locked in because we're gonna talk about this
oh
like
yeah,
length. Like I gotta be, but like same with this movie, Mystic River next week. I already know I gotta be like really paying attention. Like
yeah.
Kevin Hart movie, that's just a kick back, put your feet
I,
up, grab an
I
ice
think
on
I
me.
think that's like literally, like take a load off. You're gonna watch a movie, and that's how I was when I watched Uncharted, the Tom Holland and Mark Wahlberg movie. Like I know it's gonna be terrible. Like not, I mean, not that they're all terrible, but I know I don't really have to pay attention. I'm just gonna relax, kind of have a movie on. Like if I pause it, I'm not gonna be like, where was I at? Like it's like I could pause this, go make dinner, come back down, and nothing's changed. Like I won't forget what was happening.
Pretty accurate.
yeah, it's fair.
And somehow Kevin Hart's wife is always mad at him in every movie. I swear.
Yeah, he had
But
all those like Think Like a Man's
Mm-hmm.
movies. I think he's in all those too.
I actually like the first one of
Not shocked.
that.
but yeah, that is my guilty pleasure, and I'll tell anyone that asks.
That's fair.
Well, now that it's out in the
Yeah,
open.
Is fair. Um, well, I know we kind of talked about it a little bit last week with movies coming to theater. I think I know Ryan and I talked about this a little bit. Creed is coming to HBO 1 and 2.
yeah.
I've actually seen both those in theaters. I mentioned that last week, but my girlfriend is going out of town this weekend, little ladies trip. So I think I might fly over to the theater and check out Creed 3 this week. So
I
sure
think I'm gonna do
will be
something
joining
similar.
me, but I think that's my plan of attack here.
I,
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna see it either this one or next weekend. But yeah, I've seen the first one, never saw the second one. I'm gonna rewatch both of them just to get
I,
a fresh mindset. But
I think I'm gonna have a Creed movie day, either like Saturday or Sunday. Watch first and second, and then go check out the third.
I like that. I like
all the
that.
day.
This will actually be my first ever solo movie
Really?
in theaters. I know you guys have
Really,
both done it, I think.
done it many times.
I
Yeah.
kind of enjoy it more than going. I mean, it depends on
Yeah,
the crowd and whatnot, but
definitely. It's
but yeah.
nice. I mean, yeah, it's nice, especially with like a matinee or something too,
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
That would
like
be,
just middle of the day.
It's
yeah.
like killing time or something. I actually did that on a work trip. Did not tell my boss, but it's supposed to be at a conference, and one of the days I went and saw oh Nope. The
Oh yeah,
Jordan Peele movie.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. Um, yeah. So everybody watching at home, I mean, I think we've got our movie for next week. We've got our
yep.
assignment on the movies. We've got 1980s for music. So you've got your homework to do. Thanks for everybody for checking us out on YouTube. Obviously, if you're watching at home, go ahead and like and subscribe. If you
Yep.
feel so inclined, go ahead and mash that subscribe button. Tell a friend to tell a friend too if you want. Other than that, fellas, are we ready to head into next week?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. All good on my end.
Go, JD. Any last second thoughts?
No, can't wait.
All right. Well, we will see you back this time next week for Mystic River on HBO.
Sounds good. See you guys.
Hey, everybody.